Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today for this program preview for the Master of Science in Innovation and Venture Development. My name is Jackie Collins. I am the graduate coordinator for the MSIVD program. I work with our students throughout the admissions process as well as in an academic advising capacity. If this is your first time hearing about the Master of Science in Innovation and Venture Development, MSIVD is a brand new master's program that is starting at Arizona State University this fall 2020 through a transdisciplinary partnership between the Ira A. Fulton Schools of Engineering, the W.P. Carey School of Business, and the Herberger Institute for Design and the Arts. Today, we're going to be hearing from two of our MSIVD faculty who will be teaching a leadership course this fall. If at any point throughout this presentation you have any questions for our guest speakers or for myself more generally about the program, there is a Q&A section of your Zoom webinar screen. If you could please leave any questions that you have there. We do expect to have a few minutes towards the end of the presentation to get to all of those questions. So with that being said, right now I'm going to turn things over to our program director, Cheryl Heller, who will be introducing you to our guest speakers today.
Thanks, Jackie, and welcome. I am really delighted to introduce two of the IVD faculty who will be teaching a leadership course in the program and with whom I'm honored to co-teach. Carolyn Hirata is a lecturer and the program chair of Polytechnic Entrepreneurship and Management at the Polytechnic School, which is part of the Ira A. Fulton Schools of Engineering. She received her bachelor's degree in operations management from ASU's Carey School of Business and her master's degree in technology management from Fulton Schools of Engineering. Before her ASU appointment, Carolyn worked in the technology industry at Motorola for 15 years, and her work there focused on leadership development, acquisitions, mergers, plant closures of facilities throughout the world. I'm sure it was openings as well as closures. And Andrea Cherman, Dr. Andrea Cherman is a lecturer at the same Technological Entrepreneurship and Management program at the Polytechnic School at Fulton. She received her doctorate and master's degree in business administration from PUC Rio and her bachelor's degree in social communication from the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro. She's got more than 20 years of experience in the industry, most of it in management positions at multinational companies. And she also has a passionate interest in social entrepreneurship. So Carolyn and Andrea, welcome. Thank you so much for doing this, and we're delighted to have you.
Happy to be here.
Thank you. So thank you, Cheryl, for the kind introduction to us. Good afternoon to all the participants that join us for this webinar. We are here to talk today about the important role of leadership in our life perspective and our personal purpose, in our professional entrepreneurial path. First of all, it's very important to say that the MSIVD is a distinctive program that enabled participants to create and develop their own startup, experiencing it in practice. It's a very unique program. But the leadership role is crucial for any entrepreneurial endeavor. Next. However, we know that leading, and especially leading a new venture, is not an easy task. It demands many skills and especially demands the practice of these skills. At the same time, when you are opening a new venture, when working on a new startup, you have many things going on. Team building, product prototyping, resources, pitching for financial aid, business model trials. And we also have to consider the very new moment that we are facing currently in the world. We are having a volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous environment right now due to the COVID and the consequences of it in our economy, in our world. So it's critical for the entrepreneur to be self-aware of his or her competences and skills and capabilities, and to have tools and resources for applying them in the different situations that appear in this journey to a new venture. In the fundamentals of leadership in our course, we selected and we put together subjects and contents to support the early stages of the venture building, tools and resources that will help the entrepreneur to lead this path. We also had in mind that the entrepreneur should enhance, should grow his or her capabilities from the experiences and lessons from the venture development. So it's an interactive process of trying to practice experience to put the venture together and to enhance and grow in the leadership skills. Then to consider all these issues, we address 3 levels of content in the leadership path: an individual, a venture, and a community levels. Next, please. The individual level, we will work on finding and expressing your own leadership style. We have an approach that we don't believe that one size fits all. One leadership model will make everybody fits in there. So in the opposite direction, our approach to leadership provides the means for each participant to be self-aware and build up on their authentic leadership. Be aware of their own, his or own capabilities, skills, and based on them try to build their own leadership style. In a similar way, we'll give tools for the individuals to voice and act according to their ethical standpoint, their ethical perspective. We don't expect anybody to expect to learn what's ethics, but to express their values while building their own venture. Next. At the venture level is the level which the leadership must reflect upon the venture purpose. Please, next. In this level of the venture purpose, it's important to reflect in the sustainability aspect of the environment, and think about the social innovation opportunities that can be included in the business model for the venture. On top of that, think about the ecosystem of stakeholders, partners, customers, enablers that the venture may need in order to succeed. And another time to include all these elements in the business model. Next. Carolyn?
Thank you, Dr. Cherman. As Andrea has told us, we are looking at your individual leadership. We're looking at how you will lead your venture. And then once that's done, the third component of the class is going to talk about knowledge sharing and how you interact and align with your community. And it'll be times, and maybe sooner rather than later, when it's necessary for you to be able to interact and grow your business and introduce your products and services of your venture to the community. So it's important how this is done. Many times it can make or break the venture. So we want to concentrate the remainder of our time that we have with you for the semester into looking at 3 topics. Next, please. That will be part of your studies. The first is media training. Now, most of us don't think about how we're going to approach or how the media will approach us as far as questions and interviews and that sort of thing, but we're going to hone in on that and look at not only a media interview for you, but we're going to talk about your presentation skills and how you present yourself and how you present your venture to the media and to others. And we'll also explore in this particular section how we can prepare you for those disastrous meetings that you may have. And everybody has one of those at some point in time. So we're going to give you situations and things that you can think about and hone in on before it happens. And that way then when you do have something happen, you will not be caught shorthanded. So we're going to, in this section, also help you to understand your elevator pitch. It's important to be able to talk about your venture. Most of us want to talk about the things that we know and love for a long time, but an elevator pitch is a very short time. We'll teach you how to refine your elevator pitch so that you can deliver it to anyone within 30 seconds. And we'll capture this on video for you, and then you can critique and make whatever changes that are necessary. The second part of this portion is about strategy. And in this, we're going to play a game. And the fish game is going to ask you to interact with your ecosystem and its environment. This can actually be a pivot point for your venture as you think about sustainability and your business strategy. The approach that we use in the fish game can help you as you achieve economic prosperity and also practice responsible citizenship while keeping intact your living ecosystem. And then third and last in the class is going to be risk innovation. How one thinks about and acts on risk will in large part determine the viability of your venture. There are a lot of businesses right now as a result of this pandemic that we're going through that have been able to think about this and have been able to put into practice those things that they outlined a long time ago to help their business survive and meet the demands that we're seeing as far as this COVID-19 is concerned. So in this section, we want to introduce you to some tools that are designed to enable your venture to apply the core principles of risk innovation simply and effectively. And by doing this, then you have given thought to this and you have done scenarios that will help you to understand if you want to take that risk rather than just jumping in and perhaps putting your venture at risk. So next, please. In closing, I want to look at this next slide and think about how we will align the leadership class with the rest of the studios that are going on. We have prepared this class and anticipated where you will be as far as each of your studios are concerned so that you can bring into the classroom real world problems that you're facing, and you can also solve for solutions as part of the exercises, the assignments, and the group meetings that we will have within the classroom. This is going to be different from many classes in that you will have not only problem solving in real time, but you'll also have professors that have already solved the problem and will be able to make recommendations and offer you some suggestions as to the solutions that they have learned within the problems that they have solved. So this is going to enable your teams to come in and use the materials that you're already working on to brainstorm and find solutions for those problems. So in closing, I want to say that Dr. Heller, Dr. Cherman, and myself are really excited about this class and the promise that we can provide you with an exciting and safe environment to reflect and strengthen your leadership skills. And we are committed to helping you do this as we go through the semester together. So thanks for listening, and Jackie, I will give it back to you.
Thank you, Carolyn, and thank you to both of you for sharing those thoughts with us today. We are really grateful to have you here. I am going to take just a couple of minutes to talk about the application requirements for the MSIVD program for any attendees that might be interested in submitting an application if they haven't done so already. But just as a reminder, if any of our viewers do have any questions about the presentation that we have given today, please do feel free to leave your questions in the Q&A section of the Zoom webinar, and we will get to those in just a few moments towards the end. So in terms of application requirements for the MSIVD program, students are expected to provide their unofficial undergraduate transcripts. ASU does accept the unofficial transcripts for admissions purposes, and those transcripts can be uploaded by the applicant through the online application. If there are international students who need to meet ASU's English proficiency requirement, if you have not taken a test or met this requirement in some other way, there are a couple of good options for you to look at right now. ASU is currently accepting the Duolingo English test for English proficiency, and TOEFL also has an at-home test that can be taken for students who might be affected by testing center closures in some areas. And then for all of our MSIVD applicants, the other materials that you'll need to submit are an up-to-date copy of your resume and a letter of intent. The letter of intent is kind of going to be one of the most important parts of your application. It is your opportunity to introduce yourself to the MSIVD faculty, to talk about what brought you to this program, you know, what it is that you are passionate about, and what you would hope to get out of the MSIVD program. It should be fairly brief, about 3 pages or so, double spaced. And like I said, it is just your first opportunity to introduce yourself to the faculty. If after you submit your application, the faculty does want to move you to the next stage in the evaluation process, we would send you some additional questions to answer about yourself and then schedule a brief online interview as well. So we did just recently have an application deadline, but we are still accepting applications for the first cohort for fall 2020. So if you have not applied yet, you do still have time to do so. The link at the bottom of this screen is to the MSIVD website, where you can then find a link to start your application. And then I also just wanted to touch briefly on the estimated program costs for our MSIVD students. So the graphic on the screen is an estimate of the cost for the 1-year program for your different residency classifications, whether you're an Arizona resident, a non-resident, or an international student. So as you can see, it is a 1-year 30 credit hour program. Courses will take place in the fall, spring, and summer semesters, and you would pay ASU's standard tuition and fees for the number of credit hours that you're enrolled in, as well as a program tuition of $4,000 each semester. And that $4,000 is specific to the MSIVD program, and it is the same regardless of your residency classification. So we do have a few minutes here for some questions. I am going to turn to the Q&A section here to see what questions we have. I know I actually have a couple of questions myself as well, so if we have time, we can get to those. We do have one question here. Could you describe an entrepreneurial leadership example within a big company?
Let me answer that, if you don't mind. It goes back to what we talked about as far as risk innovation within a large corporation. It's helpful to have the resources to provide you with what you need to do innovation. And as you go through the risk assessment, you will make determinations along with the other participants in the organization as to your product or your service. And with that, you can take the things that you have learned not only in this class, but throughout the studio and apply those real time to help you to do that innovation within a large organization. Do you have anything to add to that, Andrea?
Yes, I would like to add that it's pretty common nowadays to have the entrepreneurship, to have employees inside companies that are responsible to bring new ideas and to act as an entrepreneur inside the company, because the way of thinking is much different from the regular manager that we have inside the company. So yes, I rather believe, I believe that it's very important to, if you work in a corporation, you add the skill of being an entrepreneur or someone that can bring new ideas, new projects for the company itself.
Great, thank you. We have another question here. Could you describe leadership challenges as from startup to real company status?
Could you repeat, please, because it failed?
Yes, could you describe leadership challenges as teams from startup to real company status?
Oh, okay. Well, that's a very broad question, and I think we probably have to take more time than what's been allotted to us for this. But let me say this: you will find that there are challenges that you are going to meet with your ventures as you begin to prepare and as you begin to put them in place. Things will probably sometimes not go as you've planned, and that can be frustrating. But what we want to do as far as the class is concerned is to make you aware. This is not, as Dr. Cherman said in her presentation, this is not one size fits all. This is where am I in my leadership journey so that I can take those skills and practice them in the venture so that I don't make those mistakes that are costly to the venture. So those are the things that we're going to talk about in the class. And when you take those and you practice those, leadership is a journey. It's not something that is start and stop. And it's not case study, because everybody has different leadership needs and leadership styles and leadership skills. So we're going to meet you where you are as far as the class is concerned, and we will help you then to find those skills that you didn't think you had, that you really do possess, and to sharpen those skills that you already have, so that when you get into your venture environment, you can think back and say, oh, I remember that, or you will put it into practice so much that it will be a natural part of your progression as far as the venture is concerned. Anything to add to that, Andrea?
I have 2 points to add. The first one is that what I really believe that's very useful here is that you can look at yourself to have your self-awareness. And as Professor Hirata said, build up and scale up your leadership style, your skills, your competences in dealing with other members. But also you can practice it during the studios. Mm-hmm. So it's something that you learn and you apply, and oh, it's not working because this doesn't fit me, and you can try different ways of how to use your leadership and find your leadership style. And regarding to the corporations and companies, we also know that one of the skills that companies are very worried about is to have people that are flexible, creative, that lead themselves. So when you have these kinds of skills regarding leadership and understanding yourself, understanding your internal resources, turns out to be much more easier for you to have your space inside the corporations, inside established companies too.
And if I might just add one more thing to what Dr. Cherman said, uh, this is going to be trial and error, because any great leader will tell you of their failures.
Yeah.
And it's not the fact that you failed. That's not the important thing, or that's not the focus. The focus is, what did I learn from that failure? And what can I do to prevent this from happening again? That's a journey as far as leadership is concerned. So throughout the course, we will be talking, and you'll hear a lot about authentic leadership. Authentic leadership simply means that you are yourself, no matter where you are, whether it's with your friends, with your family, at work, or where. You are the same with your leadership skills. And so that is a big part of what we do in this class. But I also want to give a plug to the next class that you will take, which is IVD 560, I believe. And that's going to dig a little bit deeper and take the things, that the foundations that we've laid in this leadership class, and you're going to explore and expand it deeper into your venture, so that you will have not only been able to practice the skills that you have been taught, but you will also be able to go a little bit further and a little bit deeper with those skills in the second portion. So I believe that between the two and the work that you will do in the studios, you'll be well prepared to lead your venture and to grow your venture.
Thank you both. I have something I'd love for you to talk about. We have been interviewing quite a number of the applicants to the program, and one of the questions we ask them is what they think makes a great leader. And there's a topic that's come up repeatedly, not surprisingly, given current state of things, but it's the idea of conflict. Could you each talk about the role that you think conflict plays in leadership, both as a positive and something to be solved for?
Conflict is natural. There are many that think that I have to do everything that I can to prevent conflict from happening within my group, within my team, within my organization. That's when you are stepping onto the edge of groupthink. And we don't want groupthink to happen, because then you lose that creativity and that innovation. So through conflict comes great ideas. And through conflict comes resolutions that we didn't think about as far as our problems are concerned. So conflict is healthy. The thing that's unhealthy about it is the way that it's handled. And so we will deal with that in the communication part of the class, so that you can learn and understand those techniques that are going to help you become more self-aware, will also help you to get more in touch with your reaction to conflict. And once you've done that and had an opportunity to perhaps reflect on it for a little while, you will find that you can intervene with a new set of skills, and ones that will bring a resolution rather than more conflict.
Professor Hirata talked about almost everything. I only want to add that conflict can be something very positive, and we never should have this misunderstanding about a personal conflict, personal relationship conflict, with the task or process conflict, process and task conflicts inside corporations, startups, groups, projects, teams are very, very welcome. Different ways of doing things, different objectives. And what we have to avoid and treat, it's of course the relationship conflict, and not let this kind of relationship conflict affect processes and tasks inside the groups and teams and so on. But Professor Hirata was perfect in everything that we are going to address.
Thank you both.
Thank you both very
Thank
much.
you.
We are pretty much out of time here. I just wanted to take a quick moment again to thank you both, Dr. Cherman and Professor Hirata, for being here with us today. We're really grateful that you would take the time to speak with us, and we are very excited about your course this fall. Thank you as well to Cheryl for being here as always. And thank you to our attendees. Just as a reminder as well, we are still accepting applications for this program for fall 2020. So there is still time to apply if you haven't done so already. And I hope that we will hear from some of you all soon. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you.